All right, people, let's just jump straight into this again. Fight of the year. I've had to write this one down. I can't lie to you. I've had to write this one down because of all the end of year awards. I keep saying end of year awards like I'm giving out awards, but of all the end of year awards, this was the one that I kind of went back and forth with for a while. This was the one that I've changed my mind time and time again, but I've just decided to stick on this one now because I've just watched again the highlights of it. I remember I actually watched this fight in full about 10 times. I know that's pretty sad, but what can you do when you love boxing? But before I mention my fight of the year, there are a couple of fights on the list that I think deserve mentioning because I think a couple of them have been forgotten. I really do think a couple of them have been forgotten. And one fight I just watched again that I thought was such a good fight was Badou Jack versus Adonis Stevenson. Again, it's not going to get much of a mention, but I think it was a very good fight between two very, very solid light heavyweights. And it's a shame what's happened to Adonis Stevenson now, but I think that was a great fight. Go back and watch it. It was a great fight. It ended in the draw, which obviously I think leaves a bit of sour taste. I always like to see a winner, but nonetheless, great fight between Badou Jack and Adonis Stevenson. Another fight on the list that was a tremendous fight, people, tremendous fight. Again, not a lot of people are talking about this fight because of what this guy done after this fight, but Alexander Usyk versus Marius Bradis. Great fight. Great fight between two unbeaten at the time world champions. And again, if you haven't watched it, it is on YouTube. The only version I could find on YouTube, I think they're speaking in Russian. So that does annoy me a bit because I don't understand what they're saying. But if you can, I normally put fights on mute. Just watch it on mute. Tremendous fight between two very, very good fighters. And it's funny because watching that fight back and then watching Bradis' fights after, I don't think Bradis is the same fighter anymore. I mean, Usyk's obviously gone on to do amazing stuff, but I think that fight might have took a bit out of Bradis. I don't think he's the same fighter anymore. This fight, the one I'm going to mention next, was the fight that I was looking forward to the most in 2018 at the time. And that's Luis Ortiz versus Deontay Wilder. What a fight that was. That fight literally went like that, back and forth, back and forth. Both of them standing their ground, landing huge shots. And it was almost a fight that, for me, almost gave credibility to Deontay Wilder. Before that, I think everyone was saying, okay, who's he fought? What's he done? He's not fought anyone. And look at his record. Yes, he's fought, you know, but who's he fought in that time? So I think in stopping Luis Ortiz, it almost gave him credibility that he needed, but it wasn't without risk. That fight, Luis Ortiz was that close to getting Deontay Wilder out there. That 7th round could be round of the year, but it was such a good performance from both men. And I think up until a period, that fight was my fight of the year. It really was a good fight between two, at the time, top 4, top 5 heavyweights. And it definitely lived up to the billing. All right, this is where I struggled between this one and the winner. But this one came in at number 2 for me. And it was Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo. What a fight. When people talk about, and you hear it a lot when older people talk about throwback fights, and us young people don't know what they're talking about. That was, in my eyes, what they mean by a throwback fight. Two guys standing their ground and both saying, okay, let's see what you've got. And it was just brutal. Honestly, how Canelo had that fight and then fought again in December is beyond me. Honestly, it's beyond me, but it was such a good fight. GGG landing jabs and body shots, Canelo landing body shots and head shots, both of them going back and forth until the 12th round, to the final minute of the 12th round. Honestly, what a fight. And it could easily have been number 1. But number 1 for me is Jorge Linares versus VASYL Lomachenko. Look, I have this as number 1, but I guess it really depends on what type of fight fan you are. If you're a fight fan that likes blood and guts, then I guess GGG Canelo might be more for you, right? Two guys standing in the pocket and just trading, almost very similar to Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward. That might be your type of thing. If you're a fight fan like me that likes to see almost skill at the highest level, then this has to be number 1 for you. It really does. I mean, I've never seen Linares look as sharp as he was. He looked sharp, like razor sharp with his punches. And VASYL Lomachenko really was VASYL Lomachenko. And I've been waiting to see him have a bit of trouble. I know he had trouble with Salido very early on in his career, but I'm talking about what he's done since Salido. What he's done since Salido is almost make people quit, right? People have decided, you know what, nah, I don't fancy this. Very legit world champions have decided, nah, this is a bit too much for me. Linares was never going to do that. Linares was never, ever going to do that. He's as tough as they come. He's a very, very good boxer, champion himself, hasn't been beaten for years. And that fight was just skill versus skill until, unfortunately for Linares, Lomachenko decided to up it another level and just put on a performance that was just incredible. Just incredible. But he had to dig deep. He had to go into that tool bag and find everything he could to get rid of Linares, because that was one of the best performances I've seen Linares put on, but it still wasn't enough. So that was my fight of the year for 2018. I've no doubt missed out on a few here, but those are my 5 fights of 2018, and Linares Loma was my fight of 2018.